Hi, everyone. This is Coach Green Jean,
And I'm Dr. Doula.
and we are welcoming you all out once again to our live online discussion, Paper versus Paper. Thank you all for joining us. This is again where we take the opportunity to ask a professional from today to join us and share strategies and insights to provide for us, for young people, in order to have sustainable access into their crafted talent. And so, for all of you who join us, please make sure that you take this opportunity to go to YouTube and subscribe to Coach Green Jean. Subscribe and like and share these archived discussions so that you can go back with your young people to watch these e-learning opportunities. So we're real excited today because we have a very special guest professional with us today. He is the author of the Kihara Discovery Series, as well as How to Become Influential and Highly Successful, the Young Adult Success Manual. So we would like to welcome to the online broadcast, Paper versus Paper, the founder and president of Empowered People Press, none other than Mr. Evan J. Roberts.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Thank you,
Yes,
Coach.
Mr. Roberts, thank you for
Dr.
joining us
Doula.
today. We
Thank you
really,
guys
really
for having me. I am so excited to be here, and thank you for that introduction, man. That was a blessing to be able to have those words spoken about you. So I'm really excited. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. I'm really excited to get into our talk. We won't waste a lot of time because usually, you know what? Let me go ahead and let Dr. Doula open us up. As
Well,
she
I always like
so
to start. I always like to start just by asking you to introduce yourself. I love the way people introduce themselves. So please tell us about who you are and all the. How do you introduce yourself?
Well, I basically start out by saying I'm Evan Roberts, and I am the founder and president of Empower People Press, which is a publishing company dedicated to diverse books for children. And I am a father, I'm a husband, I am an educator, and I'm somebody who's really passionate about literature and literacy and just helping our kids to navigate this world and figure out what their talents are and how they can best serve people with those talents that they have. And I'm really excited to be here. This has been a blessing to be able to create books and write for kids, but more importantly, to be able to teach them. I'm an educator as well. And I've been able to teach kids now for the past 15 years in the classroom, which in and of itself is a blessing and a great opportunity to be a mentor to our young people.
So who is that? Who are those gorgeous people on that picture he just showed us? Put that picture back up, babe. Who are those people?
So my wife Leslie, she is a reading specialist at her school. My son Gavin, his middle name is Kihara. He is the inspiration behind our children's series that we created, and he's our only one. He's 9 years old now, so that picture was a little while ago, but much bigger and tearing through my fridge now.
You know, I as an educator, you and your wife being an educator, what is this time like for you as far as, well, I forget what what do you teach at school? What do you teach?
So my background is in biology, so I'm a science teacher, and primarily I work with ninth graders, so high school freshmen. And right now I would say that this time is the first week was kind of an adjustment. One of the great things about our school district is we are very tech savvy, and being able to transition to, using technology to instruct students was not that big of a challenge. The challenge was in making sure that we had a framework in place that was simple for students to follow, that took care of attendance, that took care of us having planning time and things like that. But in terms of implementing and knowing what to do, I think we're ahead of the curve on that. So it's been a pretty smooth transition thus far.
Yeah,
And your wife, is it? I'm sorry. Go ahead, babe.
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Is it the same? We spoke to someone who was talking about just the mental health of the students, mental health of the teachers. Has the
Yeah.
adjustment been one where you found that you needed to provide a different kind of assistance for the students?
Yeah. So
Do
on my
no,
Google
go ahead.
Classroom, I post a lot of mindfulness resources for them in terms of meditation, in terms of how to take care of their physical self. And I've been doing a lot of Google Meets where I'll schedule a time to actually connect with all of them. And not so much to deliver instruction, but more so as a sounding board for them to just
Mhm.
lay out any concerns that they have or how they've been coping with what's been going on. And I think that's been very therapeutic for a lot of the students as well, to be able to be that resource to them and just letting them know that, hey, we're going through this just like you guys are. I was just sharing with them that I'm in grad school. So my school went from meeting in person to all e-learning. And I told them, like, I'm under the same exact expectations in terms of getting work accomplished and being at home and balancing or trying to balance family and work and all of these things. So it's they're excited about that. And anytime we have those live sessions, the students really look forward to it.
You know,
Wow.
I was thinking it's amazing. You said that you also are doing e-learning. As an educator, as an individual who's also in school himself
Mhm.
and who has switched, and I know we're talking about other stuff, but this is one of my things as well. You know, in times past, not very far past, there have been many conversations about how e-learning is not on par with face-to-face learning. So, Mr. Educator, I'm one as well. I have my opinion, but this is your time. Um, I've had the opportunity to school in person, online, the whole nine. I don't want to. I don't want to have a trite statement like which one is better or is it as good. But what I would like is for you, just because there are a lot of people who you know, before this, if you are in graduate school online or if you're whatever online, oh, the first thing is, well, it's nothing like, you know, it's nothing like at all, you know, being
Right.
in the brick and mortar school. I would just like your thoughts, whatever they are, now that we
Mhm.
have this imposed, you know, distance learning on us,
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I
some
would say
thoughts about it. Yeah.
yeah, there are pros and cons, and I think when I look at it, the pros are, you know, being able to have a platform like, let's say, a Google Classroom where you know students are able to easily access, you know, information. You can put resources up there, and there's nothing standing in the way other than having access to the internet of them being able to get the required tools that they need for the course.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said, I think, for the person-to-person, belly-to-belly interaction that we have with students. You know,
Hmm.
obviously in e-learning, it's hard to give a kid a high five. Or,
Yeah.
I mean, they can read my facial expressions, but when you're face-to-face, you get a better sense, I think, of kids and just what they're doing. And then also, when I look at like seniors and all of the things that they are looking forward to or were looking forward to participating
Exactly.
in, like prom and graduation and the luncheon and all of these different events, e-learning cannot take the place of that. You know, there's no type of digital celebration that's going to duplicate the experience of being at a graduation and in that room and feeling that energy and those kids walk across that stage. So there are some things that are positive, but there are some drawbacks, I think, and that human touch. Like I have some kids who are struggling not so much with the work, but they're struggling with the fact that they don't have that regular interaction with their peers.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of students, you know, coming to school and interacting with their peers is, I mean, that's like the biggest part of it for many of them. You know, being able to have those conversations at lunch, walking through the
Yeah.
hallways. So you miss that, and I don't think e-learning can duplicate that experience for kids.
You know what? That's an excellent segue. But just holding on to your point, even as an adult and being an extrovert, through this this time of quarantine and this global pandemic that we're going through right now, I'm even finding it difficult. My wife, a beautiful Dr. Doula, she's in Tuscaloosa with the boys now, and that personal touch of having family and friends, even at work, you know what I'm saying? So while it may be sometimes, challenging navigating, this particular scenario right now, I see the advantages it has to be in the presence of people, especially when you have that extroverted, personality. So, getting and starting to talk about, this particular time and this season that we're experiencing, with the pandemic and this time of quarantine, we have the opportunity to spend time with family more. And that means that we have the opportunities to provide some structured, resources for our children and their learning path. This is a great opportunity to learn about our history, to learn about some of those things that maybe the school may not be tagging on just like we may think that they should. And so I wanted to kind of lead this into what it is that you do and what it is that you provide, because I'm busting out at the seams just to share with people the opportunity that you have for them, that they can actually have a part right in their family, in their own home.
Yeah, you bring up a great point. My son, his school is doing the same exact thing as every other school district, and so we've had an opportunity to take a much closer look at what they are asking him to do, and I think that's been a blessing. And you're right, that time at home, it has been wonderful in terms of bonding, and then understanding, having to set that schedule. It's hard for kids though, because you stay home a couple of days and then, man, are we playing Nerf the whole day? Are we playing laser tag the whole day? Are we playing, Xbox the whole day? So it's being able to create some type of schedule that resembles, what school should be like. But to that point, I'll say that we've created. So I mentioned earlier, I'm an author, and we created the Kihara Discover series 3 years ago.
Oh, beautiful.
As a way to connect with young people. Kihara Junior is our newest series that we just released, which is intended for that 0 to 5 age range. And we basically pride ourselves on creating books that celebrate diversity, celebrate, Black boys and girls, and also have an educational focus, so that kids can improve their literacy in a way of understanding sight words, social emotional development and growth, being able to practice some of their handwriting skills, and all of those early literacy skills that we've come to understand are very important. Phonetically sounding out words, connecting words to images.
Awesome.
And that's what our focus has been over the last few years.
Wow.
Just
amazing.
That's
amazing.
Lisa just got home. Oh,
I'm just thankful, Mr. Roberts, that you're a part of our children's life, even in the high school arena. You're actually plugged in, and they're actually plugged into the family at the high school that you teach at, and also as a mentor. Man, we really appreciate you being a part of their lives and everything that you have to offer, because we know that as an educator and author, you also have opportunities to speak to various audiences. And so so we really appreciate you having you.
Thank
here.
you guys.
Yeah, no, thank you, man.
I was put those books back up, because those just bless my. I just am so impressed with. Do
you see that? How many books do we have there? That's
7.
7, yes. And then we have just have a new release too.
Yeah,
I want you to talk more. I'm sorry. Well, go ahead. Finish your statement.
No, go ahead. It's on you.
I was just going to say, tell me more about the thought process that goes into creating a book series like that. of course, when we have children, we're motivated to do things for them. We see what is missing from what they have. But talk to me, talk to us more just about this, because I know so many people who, well, I'm in birth culture, and so amongst other things in education, relationships, everything else. But I know so many people who, well, let me put it this way. One of the things we deal with in birth culture is the fact that unless you are in a situation where your children are not able to have a Black teacher, or your babies are not able to be birthed by Black people in a birthing room, or you're the only Black person except for the doctors, only Black person, including the doctors and nurses, and no one else is there. Unless you're in that situation, then sometimes it's hard to empathize. And so when I think about and I see these books, I'm wondering, was it a need that you felt that needed to be met? Was it something that with your own, that you felt like you could express better? I know as a homeschool parent, there were things that I could teach my children, and when I taught them, it was different than what I have found so far. So I would love to just hear more about the process of these amazing books that you have here.
Yeah, so thank you for that, Dr. Doula. I think so to answer your question, I'll give you a story. When my son was just starting out, the whole preschool, when he was just starting out, we would read pretty much every night. And I remember on one particular occasion taking him to preschool, and we would listen to the audio version of one of his favorite books. And this was before he could actually read. And I remember that we would, I would read the book at night sometimes, and it would be late or running behind, and we really wanted him to get to sleep. And I would try to skim through pages and get to the end of the book quickly. And it came a point in time where he had listened to the story, in our car from going to preschool and then being picked up. He had listened to it so often that he knew when I was skipping parts of the book. So and he was like, "Dad, what happened? Like, you didn't say this part." And I realized that he was learning how to read and how to understand books just by listening to them each and every day. And I was blown away. Like, wow, this is phenomenal. So that was part of it. I knew how important reading was and just how it can have an impact on kids. I think the second biggest area of need that became clear to me was when I would go in the libraries and I would ask them for books that celebrated Black boys or had Black boys as a protagonist. And every once in a while I would get the librarian that would just, oh my God, those are hard to come by. We don't have enough authors who write those types of books. And I'm okay with books that, teach about civil rights and teach about, struggle and overcoming. And that's totally fine. But what I'm not okay with is not having regular, everyday examples of our kids doing regular, everyday things. And so I would say, why can't we just have a series of books that have a Black boy or have a Black girl, and it's just a regular story? It doesn't have to be a freedom fight. It doesn't have to be overcoming.
Come on.
All of these crazy odds. How can we just live? Can we have something that represents us just living?
I love that, because it's so true. You said, can't we just live? And it's amazing. Part of the decision to homeschool was because I knew enough as an educator to know, by third grade, they've already, targeted, I knew all of that. And I know that in the majority culture, there are grand efforts made to say, oh my goodness, I see this disparity. I'm going to address this disparity. But at the same time, there's something about our babies being able to live and not have to think about a disparity. My son is in Japan. His birthday is today or his yesterday, but birthday. I know he said
he's moving into Wednesday.
He's He's into Wednesday now, and he's 25. And we were talking this morning, and just the notion and him processing all he had to process out. Your book series is such a gift, because the notion of our Black children, and especially our Black boys, just being able to read a book where they are just living and they are just playing and they are just doing whatever is, it should not be still a novel thing, but it is often still a novel thing. And anytime we get to promote that kind of thing, we do, because we remember what it was like to homeschool and look for resources for our little 4 Black boys. So this is amazing.
Yeah,
thank you.
And so periodically, I'm going to be posting up ways on how that they can reach out, and to our audiences to reach out and obtain a copy of one of the these wonderful books that you can sit down and read with your child, and gain so much insight with people that look just like you. And Evan, you know, I actually have a great opportunity to I guess share and have these broadcasts and be able to speak into the homes and speak into the lives of our participants, our audience. And I just wanted to, along with what the things that you just shared about reading with your son in the car every day, even when he couldn't read, what are some of the other things that parents who are new to this particular situation, a lot of us, we on our grind every day, man. And now we're at a position, during the global pandemic and quarantine, of being in the home and are forced to look at a situation, a scenario as different. And that could be kind of overbearing. It could be a lot, fear is creeping in, how do I, I got the 2-year-old, the 10-year-old, the 7-year-old kind of jumping around. What kind of things, can you share with parents today who are professionals? Now we have working class professionals, dads and moms, and now we're back in the home. What kind of things can we focus on to help our mental health, to help us kind of merge as a family, through this time?
Yeah, I would say that, it might sound real simple, but, kids will do 100% of what they see you do and like 0% of what you tell them. And I think we use the word modeling quite a bit when we talk about education. So my wife and I, we've always had the mindset that, if he's going to be a reader, our son, if he's going to be a scholar, then he better be seeing that at home.
That's right.
He needs people who are engaged, who have goals, who have books. I've had a personal goal of making sure that any author, especially Black authors, any Black authors that I come across, that I get their book and I have them autograph it to my son. And I want to autograph them so that he can read the messages they write. I always write him a personalized message about being a scholar, or going as far as you want to go in life and pushing yourself. And I think that, as a professional, we have to make sure that we don't take that opportunity for granted. You have to model for your child. The old saying is parents are their children's first teachers.
Exactly.
And that is true. They're going to pick up some habits early on from you. So if in your household you're reading, and I'm not saying you got to read all day, but if you're reading a book, if you're, working, we used to do puzzles all the time. I love board games. I love things that kind of stretch the mind and make you think. Chess. I just started introducing him to the game of chess. Yes. And so all of these different things that help him to actually see that we also are interested in being a learner and not just watching mindless Hulu or whatever it is, on TV, but that there are different facets, that we embody as well. I would also say that one of the most important things in this time, you have to take time for yourself. I get up really early. I try to stick to a regular schedule. I get up really early because I need those first few hours of the day to work on my own goals, to work on my own mindset, to, think about and plan for the future. And it's hard to do that when the whole household is awake and everybody's up, and now you have to tend to everybody's needs.
Exactly.
So you got to also build in that me time to help yourself in terms of having that mental space to just relax and do the things you enjoy. I enjoy reading. I enjoy learning about new things. I'm always on somebody's podcast or some kind of webcast or something where I'm learning something new. And that's just my personality. I love to push myself in that way. But I know that once my son gets up, he needs somebody there to model what a schedule should be like and to help him get going in the day. So, I think that balance is tough, but, I'm an early riser anyway. I like getting up and just getting going with the day, but taking that time for yourself and then allocating the time for, to model those behaviors that you want to see your child duplicate.
Wow. Thank you for that. Dr. Doula, did you have another question?
I did, but I need to greet my sister, so I'm going to put myself on mute for a moment.
You go ahead and put yourself on mute. They'll give me in time to engage with my friend. That self-time is so good, because here it is, Evan, we have such an amazing opportunity. Yes, this is a time that we've never seen before. And yes, life won't be the same, right? There are some things that during this quarantine, during this global pandemic, I'm praying for myself, my family, my friends, and for my audience, that we could capitalize on this opportunity. And in order to do so, our mindset, has to be there. And you spoke on some very, critical things, especially that thing about spending, time, with ourselves. How are we viewing this? This, while it is a very tragic, very, very tragic global situation, it doesn't necessarily have to be that it's happening to us, but it is actually this reset, which we call a global reset, could be happening for us to understand and learn how to navigate the world in a way that's going to be more sustainable than one track, thinking about how much we can gain. I always like to use the perspective that the energy and God's love and the flow of blessings are not meant to flow to us, right? But through us. And in order to do that, we have to spend time with self. We have to engage and grow mentally by, like you said, reading and challenging ourselves, and then modeling that and extending that to our children. And that's how we get, these valuable lessons and tools to the next generation. Dr.
I have two questions.
Sure.
First one is related to what you're talking about.
Sure.
Okay, so you said modeling it for our little ones, or young ones and youth. What does that look like practically in the way that perhaps you encourage your son or whatever to learn how to do that? And then I'll tell you the second one in a minute.
Okay. Well, so anytime my son wakes up, he'll see me. I'm in my office. When he gets up, I'm usually in my office, and I have several screens open. I have a book open. I have notes that I'm taking, and he'll say, like, just the other day, he was like, "Man, Dad, this is like 2,000 pages of notes. What's going on?" And I'm like, "Listen, I have to write down, what the book is telling me and put it in my own words so I can understand what it means." And so he sees that, and I'll tell him, he'll say, "Hey, Dad, well, can we go and play, Nerf right now? Or can we go and do XYZ?" And I'll say, "Well, son, I got a few things I need to finish up, as far as the book is concerned. And, we always put our work before play. So let's go ahead and get this done first. Let me get this done, and then I'll come on and we can play a little bit. Or, hey, it's time for you to go ahead and wash up and get ready for the day." But just, trying to show him that there are steps and there are stages to how you should do things. And he sees me constantly engaged. So for him to see me reading a book is not a once in a blue moon type of situation. He'll see it almost every day. Or for me to be writing down information or planning out something, and then we play together, and he knows that I'll ask him, "Hey, do you want to color tonight? Do you want to read a new book? Do you want to pick out a new book?" And then once he does that, we start writing to the literacy strategy. So what's important about this book? Or, why do you like it? Why did you choose this? And we'll start talking about it. And throughout the story, as we're reading it, I'll be asking him questions, to help him stay engaged, but also to see, to get him thinking metacognitively about what's going on. And I think that's how you model. You can tell kids, go and read a book, or you can engage in reading yourself and then engage them in the process as they're reading. Well, what do you think? Or how do you think this is going to end? Or if you were going to write the ending of this story, how would you have rewritten it? And giving them that type of thing. Or do you like this title? If you were to write the title, if you could write the title or rewrite it, what would it say? And what do you think about this character? Did he do the right thing, or should he have done something differently? and you give them, you model those discussions with them, and that helps them to see not only the importance of the story, but I think it also models them that you care about what they're doing. And kids got to know care. You know, our kids, you know, spell love Time. You know, how much time are you spending with me?
I love that. Good. I love that so much. It reminded me of our homeschool days, and I mentioned this before, how even when the young ones were smaller, you know, I would read big books to them, big vocabulary, and you know, they were all boys, and they were very stereotypical boys. So if I could get something in there with a sword and a, you know, maybe throwing a dragon or
give me an action scene here, Mom. Give me an action scene.
Just, you know, you got to give me something. But because I did, they were able to, before they could articulate in writing, and sometimes they would try, I would say, okay, while we're reading. And I mean, I'm always amazed. I would read, and I would be like, I'm going to read this entire chapter. And it would be something I said the other day, something like Chronicles of Narnia. And we'd be reading an entire chapter of, you know, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or just anything with action. They loved Arabian Nights and anything with a pirate and anything that whatever. And so part of their reading comprehension and how I wanted to see, what did you see? What are you thinking while I'm reading this, is that I would have them draw. And that was their drawing time, and that was their time. But along with that, I think what we forget is how much the vocabulary of our children grows, not just when they read, but when they're read to. And that's one of the things that I've seen that people don't always highlight. They always say, read, read, read. But when you have something where you're being read to, and especially from, you know, infancy, toddler, whatever, they're learning these words. And even though they haven't necessarily associated anything with them, they're hearing them, and they're hearing them in context. And often people forget that part. They forget that being able to understand the English language. And I always give these plugs because I think it's important too when we're talking and speaking with our children. You know, I never did baby talk. I did the talk that I wanted them to grow into. Now that doesn't mean we didn't have little nicknames and things like that. But people would always say, well, how do you get them to speak in that way? And to get them to speak in that way, we speak to them in a certain way. And I love everything that you're saying about reading. I love that your son is saying, look, not only does my dad have these books out, but now he's writing stuff based on what he read. It's that whole cycle. It's that example that you were talking about, because he's understanding at the core of it. To me, the example that you're setting is that being able to communicate with my words, with my writing and reading, and all of those things are vitally important, not just to being an adult, but to being like my awesome dad that I want to be like. You know, this example, this is who my dad is. And I can say that now because I have conversations with my sons where they talk about what they remember from their dad. And sometimes it's the things that you think, and then sometimes it's the things that you're just doing, thinking, hoping that they'll remember. But I can tell you, because you know, the same way you said, communicating with them and all these things, they see that, and that just excites me. And I had to say all of that. I just wanted to say all of that. I love the example, and I love that you're allowing a way for others to also experience that, you know? To experience it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So, you know, Evan, I want to.
Wait. Last one before we go. Go
ahead. Go ahead.
Evan, now this is what I know. My husband and I used to write music a lot. And no matter what, we always had a favorite song. We loved to sing the songs, but we had a favorite. Now I'm looking at 7 books, and I'm seeing the 7 books. Evan, is there a favorite of yours that you look at and you say, okay, I love all the books, but this one is my favorite, and why?
Yeah, I would say, wow, that's a great question. I haven't really thought about my favorite book, but if I had to choose, I would say the Share book. My son is the only child, and obviously sharing is an important skill set to have. And kids struggle with it, at a lot of levels. They struggle with sharing. So I love that the story is told from the perspective of it's the child remembering what his mom would say about the importance of sharing. And that's how the story is told. So I actually I have a copy of it right here. I'll read a little bit of it.
Oh, please, please.
So to start out, it says, when it's time to play, I hear mom say, share, share, share. But those toys are for me. No one else can see. Share, share, share. Mom says sharing gives others a chance. Keeping toys to myself is a mean stance. So when it's time to play, I always hear mama say, share, share.
Share, share. Now let me tell you what I love. Oh my God, hold the book up so they can see it. Oh my goodness, hold the book up. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you what I love, because you've taken me back to my homeschool days. What I love about that is I instantly heard, I don't know why I heard my little number 3. He's 18 in 3 days. Just pray for me. Just pray for me. I can't. But I instantly was transported. Oh my gosh. I was instantly transported back, because that is, I mean, knowing him at that time, he had a little lisp at the time too. And and I can see him, but I can see him saying, remember Omari, the baby. Share, share, share. I can hear it, because it's share, share, share. I can hear, oh, my little heart. Oh, it's too much. Oh, my children are growing. I can't take it. Okay, I'm back. That's just, I love it so much. Thank you. I just love it.
So what we want to do is we want our families, our audience, and all of you to have this experience with your children, especially during this time when we're at home together. So we're going to share. Mr. Roberts, information.
Wait, say it again. This is my new favorite thing. It's my new favorite thing. It's my, okay, say it again. It's my new favorite thing.
Share. So please, Mr. Roberts, could you share with us how we can obtain the series of Kihara Discovers?
Yep. So we have a website. It's ejrbooks.com. You guys can totally visit there. And actually, we're in the beginning stages. I'm doing a little soft launch here of the book. So we'll be posting some information soon about the coloring books as well, because these are the hardcover stories that we have. But we also created 7 coloring books for each of the stories that you see on the screen. And the coloring books have sight words. They have places where children can practice their writing. And it's just another way to reinforce literacy for us. So they can visit the site, and we're constantly making updates. This is a brand new series. So we're adding the books, throughout the course of the next few days. You'll be seeing the books added on there. Right now, you'll see share, share, share. You'll see the coloring books on there. You'll see some of our older books that we wrote. These books are intended for like 0 to 5-year-olds. And then the other series that we have on there is like for people that are, or children who are in 2nd to 3rd grade. And just a great way, again, to reinforce literacy for them. So, but ejrbooks.com is the place to go, or they can just email me directly at evanroberts@ejrbooks.com, and we can chat if they have some questions about the series.
Thank you.
I'm so excited. Share.
Yes. Don't forget Evan Roberts' Google voice number, 708-794-6622. You can also connect with Mr. Roberts on Facebook. That's his Facebook ID. We'll all plug all of these particular information within the description, his LinkedIn. Make sure that you please keep connected with Mr. Roberts, and also his Twitter. He is no excuse. You can get in contact with Mr. Roberts and allow these books to come in, the Kihara Discovery Series, to be a blessing for you and your family. Mr. Roberts.
We have a really active group on Facebook that we've created for the Kihara series. So if you reach out to me, I can connect you to that group. And I post, I send people.
Okay. We want to make sure that we give Mr. Roberts back. He might have had
with him. There he is.
Okay. Did we get you back?
We're back.
Okay, we got you back.
You said the group. You were talking about the group.
We have a pretty active group on Facebook, so if people are interested in joining that, and I'm always looking for a perspective of parents and educators, because I write these books and I have a beta group who looks at them and gives me great feedback. But reviews and testimonials are things that are hard to come by. So I'm always open and engaged when people are making themselves available for that. And I don't mind throwing in a little freebies every once in a while as well.
Yes.
I'm so excited. That is just so amazing. My rice didn't do right today, but I'm glad that this conversation did. I'm devastated. I'm devastated because this is such a wonderful conversation.
Right? Oh no.
I know. I'm like, darn it, but I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful I was able to be on here with you two today, because this is just absolutely wonderful. I am amid a community of individuals who have Black children. I'm unapologetically one who loves to talk about Black people and loves to talk to Black people. I believe that Black people like to hear themselves called and not just be all people or people of color. I like to talk to them, and I love that. This came to my mind, so I'm going to say it. It just excites me that with your coloring books, these babies will look and they say, oh yeah, it's okay to color the skin on this little boy brown, and they won't have to wonder. And that excites my heart. And for some people, that might not make a lot of sense. But when kids struggle with that, when it's like as you said earlier, like, man, can you just live? Can we just live without worrying about what color should this be colored, or, whose skin color is that? It's a beautiful thing. I love the work that you've done. I'm going to look for someone. I think I know, actually. Oh, I have the perfect one to give this as a gift to. I have a perfect people. I have the perfect family. They're a homeschool family as well. So, and I want to admonish those who are, I have plenty of homeschool friends on Facebook. I have plenty of people that do different, that have, well, everybody pretty much has their kids at home right now, but those who are always looking for resources, this is an excellent one. Yes. Mr. Roberts is amazing, and I've watched the work that he's done over the years as my children have been involved in certain things in school, and so this is a wonderful, wonderful investment. So just in case you're not the one that I decide to gift it to, get it, girl, get it.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Doula. I really appreciate that. There is one thing I want to say too. In hearing you talk about the families. One of the other areas that we wanted to focus on was this whole concept of representation matters, and in children's literature, especially, Black boys as the protagonists, or Black girls as the protagonists, is less than 10% of all children's books, picture books. And so it doesn't make sense to me that we have all this talent and we put all of these different energies toward things that we're doing, that we wouldn't put the same energy toward having resources that look like our kids, celebrate our children, and that support, what they're all about. And if we want to tackle, I think when you talked earlier about giving counteracting what's going on, and that's part of our mission as well. I think if we are going to, I hate the stereotype that, if you want to put something in a book, or if you want to hide something from Black people,
put it in a book.
Yeah, I hate that, because how I've grown up and the people that I've been around, reading has always been an intricate part of our life and what we've been a part of. And I'm a teacher and I see kids, and yeah, not every child is into books the way I am, but there's a good number of kids that I've taught over the last 15 years, and they're always into books. You know, they're always reading something. So I think part of it is smashing stereotypes. I think part of it is having books that represent who we are, and then providing what one of my mentors would call a counter narrative. You know, that Black boys do great things, you know, besides playing ball, besides, you know, these normal things that we see, you know, every day. They can do other things that are also just as outstanding.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. Thank you for that. Thank
Mr.
you
Roberts,
so much.
Evans, you have been amazing, sir. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Coach.
I really appreciate you, man. And we're going to have to really do this again, especially when you begin to even expand the series even more. We're going to have you go back. And then at the time that we have you come back, we're going to probably give out gifts at that time to our audience who are actually tuning in live, man. So
yeah,
we really appreciate you.
That would be great.
Yes, sir. And before we go, I just want to go ahead and make a shout out and make sure that you guys, please go to YouTube at Coach Green Gene and subscribe to our channel so that you can receive more informative discussions just like this right in your own home with other professionals. We're so enjoyed Mr. Roberts being with us to share very, very important information during this global pandemic, during this time of quarantine, and things that we can do, insights and strategies to assist us and help us while we're at home in this difficult situation. So please go to YouTube, to Coach Green Gene, sign up, subscribe. We have a whole bunch of different professionals we've spoken to that we've archived just for you, and we're looking back forward to the opportunity where we can go back live with our workshops, the 3H Intro to Pre-Apprenticeship program, so that we can actually continue to engage our young people with hands-on activities. We believe that these hands-on activities engage them in such a way so that they can develop that crafted talent, and so that they're being purposeful as it relates to their lot in life and the things that they're called to do. So again, Mr. Roberts, we wanted to thank you, Evan, for being with us today, man. You've been an amazing guest professional with us today, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene. Appreciate you, man. Dr. Doula, thank you so much for having me. You guys, audience members, definitely subscribe and be a part of this. We need to be a resource for our kids. And hey, the great thing is we can model and do exactly what our kids need right now. We don't have to put it into somebody else's hands. You mentioned the pandemic that's going on, and you know, every day I talk to my son about health and nutrition, you know, and about how to take care of your body and why it's so important to put the right types of foods in your system and to get outside and get some vitamin D, get some fresh air, get some vitamin C, you know, and to be able to really take advantage of this beautiful immune system that we've been blessed with, and not to pollute it and foul it up, you know?
Yes.
Man, that's a great point, because, you know, with this pandemic, you know, you hit it right on the head. This is the opportunity we can take back this time, man. And there's gardening, you know, when we're talking about food security, you know, there's gardening, you know, like you said, exercise and reading. So please, everybody, go out and get a copy of the Kihara Discovery Series. I'm going ahead and put that picture. Discover series. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and put that picture up here, right here again. You have seven amazing books in the Kihara Discover series. So please go ahead. Now,
yes, and Coach Green Gene has been challenging us all. So I started. He's always telling people do something, blah blah blah, after these things. So today was my Spanish day. I went back to studying my Spanish this week, last week, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Coach, I got you. I
appreciate you. I appreciate you. You go ahead.
Fue un placer hablarte. It was a pleasure to talk with you all today.
All right. Hey, Evan, Yes, before you go, don't cut off. We want you to hold on, but we're gonna end this broadcast with an outro for the first time. We're gonna show a little bit of a green theme video, and then we hope to see you guys on our next online discussion, paper versus paper. Thank you, guys.
Take care, everybody.
We're going to do some intentional activation because each and every one of you guys have a special gift.
I feel like this was a wonderful program. I felt like I was comfortable and like this was like a second family to me. So I just wanted to say thank you guys.
Learning how to use the different tools was really cool. That I didn't know like what to do with them, and like really cool to learn how to use the drill.
Oh yeah.
Cutting the wood with the handsaw.
Yeah, it was.
Drilling and undrilling the wood.
Oh wow, great, great.
The hardest part was probably sawing it, cutting it in half.
When we went on the computer software.
The computer software, you thought that was pretty cool?
The saws.
The saws?
Yeah. I think they can help me in a lot of ways. When I grow up, I plan to be an animation artist. Measure stuff, learn how to draw.
Yeah, thank you so much.